welcome to my channel. My name is Temtokwe. If this is your first time here, thank you for stopping by. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for checking in again. I really appreciate you. So today we are going to be cutting and sewing a 6-piece skirt, just as you can see the beautiful pattern. So if this is what you are interested in, you want to continue watching this video. So do not forget to click on the like button, subscribe to this channel, and also turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to get notified each time I post a new video. To the city streets, we began to feel the fire. I drew a straight line to indicate the starting point. So this starting point is going to be our waistline. So I'm going to be measuring our waist to hip measurement. So that's 8.5. And then I'm going to be measuring my waist to knee measurement. The waist to knee is 19, but I'm going to be coming up by 3 inches. So I'm going to be marking 16 inches. Then I'm going to be marking my full skirt length. My full skirt length is 39 inches. But I want this skirt to flow very well, to be so long. So I'm going to be adding 5 extra inches. So I'm going to be marking 44 inches. So I'm going to be drawing a straight line across each point. So on the waistline, I'm going to be placing my dart measurement. So I'm going to be dividing my nipple to nipple measurement by 2. So that gives me 3 inches. So I'm going to be marking it on the waistline and also on the hip line. Then I'm going to be connecting with a straight line. And so on each side, I'm going to be taking half of an inch. But I'm going to be making the length of the dart 4 inches for the front dart. So I'm taking half of an inch on both sides. And I'm going to be connecting it to the 4 inches mark. So I'm going to be taking my waist measurement. So I'm going to be dividing my waist measurement into 4 and then I'm going to mark it. Then I'm going to be marking that dart allowance there, which is 1 inch, and I'll be placing it back there. So on the hip line, I'm going to be dividing my hip measurement into 4 also. So my hip measurement is 37 divided by 4. I'm going to be having 9.25. So I'm going to mark it there. And then on the knee line, so I'm going to be going up by half of an inch and also coming down by half of an inch. Please, this is totally not necessary. I just decided to do this. You don't have to do this. I just decided to take your knee measurement on your actual knee. So what I have on my hip measurement is 9.25. So I'm going to be subtracting 1 inch from there and I'm going to be marking it on the knee line. So I'm going to be marking 8.25. And as you can see, I marked the 8.25 on the first and the second line. So if you did not add that additional line, you can just mark it at the center line and then use your curve rule to connect the lines, just like I am doing. So I'm going to be connecting from the knee line to the hem line. So what I have on my knee line, which is 8.25, is what I'm also going to be placing on my hem line. So this is me just drafting a basic skirt pattern. So I'm just going to connect it all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut it out. So I'm just ruling this part just to have just to like straighten the pattern, like to have a straight part on the pattern, because I'll be using it for the back part. So for this back part, the first thing we are going to be doing is to take 1.5 inch for our zip allowance. So this is what I am taking here. Then I'm going to be placing the front pattern on it. I'm going to be pinning it together just to put it in place. Then I'm going to be taking the length. The length is going to be different from the front length. I'm going to increase the length by 5 inches. So I'll mark it here and then draw a line across it. Then I'm going to go ahead to cut it out. But before cutting it out, I'm going to be marking the dart. You can see what I am doing. So I'm trying to locate where my dart is. I'm marking it on the back pattern also. And then for this side, the zip area, I'm going to be coming in on the waistline by 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to mark it here. And then on the knee line, I'm going to be coming in by half of an inch, just like you're seeing me do. And then I'm going to be connecting this with my ruler. So I'm going to connect this downward from the waist. And then from the knee line, I'm going to be connecting upward, just like this. And then the remaining part, I'm going to connect it with a straight line to the hem line. So what I already took 3/4 of an inch here on the waistline. So I'm going to be placing it back on the other side, and that is exactly what I'm doing here. So I've placed it back, and then I'm going to be connecting it towards the hip. So now I can go ahead to cut it out. Then I'm going to be marking the darts on the back part, because I already point out the darts there using the front pattern. So now the center line, I'm going to make the length of the dart 6 inches. Remember that we made the front length 4 inches, so the back one is going to be 6 inches. And then I'm going to be joining the half of an inch I took on both sides to the center line, just like this. And then I'm going to be putting this aside and working on the front pattern. So on this front pattern, this is the front pattern, I'm going to be extending the dart line all the way down. So the 3 inches I use for the dart, I'm going to extend it all the way to the hem, just like this. And so I'm doing this because I want to divide. I'll be using it to divide the front pattern into 2. But before dividing it into 2, I'm going to slash to the nail line first. So on each part, which is the center front and the side front, I'm going to be dividing from the nail line downward into 2 also, just like I am doing here. So I'm going to locate the middle and draw a straight line to divide it into 2. And I'm also going to do the same thing to the side front, just like I am doing. I'll locate the middle and then mark it all the way down, just to divide it from the knee downward into 2. So now on the center front, you can see that I mark it with my pencil. I'm going to slash it to that nail line, and then I will now be slashing it towards this side. You can see the way I'm slashing it. I'm not going to cut it through. I'm going to make sure that it did not cut through. This is because I want to use it to spread it. You can see the way it's looking, so that for you to understand well. So let me go ahead and divide this pattern into 2, to the center front and center back. You can see that I cut out my dart that way, so that way I don't have to bother again about the dart. So this is the center front. I'm not going to be slashing the second side. This is because I'm going to be cutting it on fold. So the side front, now I'm going to go ahead and slash it to the nail line. But in this case, I'm going to be slashing both sides, just like this. You can see what I am doing here. And I'm going to make sure I did not cut it through. So I'll be slashing the second part also, just like this. And then I'm going to spread it out. So this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be spreading this out on paper. So slashing it will enable me to be able to spread it as much as I want. So now I'm going to be working on the back pattern. So I'm going to be extending the dart line of this back pattern. Remember that we used 3 inches for the dart line. So I'm marking the 3 inches all the way down, just to divide the pattern into 2. So I'm going to be marking the nail line also, just like I'm doing here. So I already indicate the nail line. Then I'm going to be slashing and dividing the pattern into 2, and at the same time cutting away the darts. You can see that I already cut away the darts. So now I have the back pattern divided into 2, the center back and the front and the side back. So this center back is what I'm working on now. So I'm dividing it into 2 from the nail line to the hem also. You can see I'm doing that with my pencil, and on the side back too, I'm doing the same. I'm locating the middle and dividing it equally all the way down. So just like I slashed the side front, I'm going to do the same thing to the center back and the side back. I'm going to be slashing on both sides. It is only the center front that is going to be different, and that's because we are going to be cutting that one on fold, but the other ones we will not be cutting them on fold. So we'll be slashing on both sides. So this is the center back, and I'm going to be doing the same thing to the side back. So this will allow me to be able to spread it as much as I want. So I'm going to be bringing another pattern paper underneath. So you are going to see how we are going to do that. So this is the center front. Like I said earlier, we are going to be cutting this on fold, so we can only spread it on one side, not on 2 sides. So I've gone ahead to put another pattern paper underneath it. I can see that I'm spreading one angle of it there. So you will determine how wide you want your skirt to be. So for me, I'm going to be using 8 inches. So this actually is dependent on how much fabric you have. I use 4 yards for this style, so I'm going to be using 8 inches. So you can see that I'm spreading it by 8 inches. So I'm going to take my curve rule now and mark it to that point. Meanwhile, make sure that I pin that part down so that it does not shift. And look at here, and I'm placing my tape at that center just to put it in place so that it does not shift. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut it. So this is for the center front. Now this is the side front. You can see I've already placed another pattern paper underneath it. So I'm going to be doing this to all my patterns. So I measured one side of it here. I have 28 inches. So I'm going to be taking that exact measurement at the middle. So I'll go ahead now and mark the 28 inches at the middle there. Then I'm going to connect a straight line to meet that 28 inches mark. This is me dividing this into two because I'm going to be spreading it on both sides, and I want to have equal measurements on both sides. So that is why that center line is necessary. So I want to be making it 8 inches on both sides. I marked 8 inches for the center front. So here I want it to be 8 on both sides, which is going to be 16 inches because I'm not cutting it on fold. So now I'm going to use my curve rule to connect from the center line to the sides, just like this. And I'll go ahead to cut it. And I'll be doing the same thing to the center back and the side back. And this is the pattern. You can see I already cut out my center back and side back. So I went ahead to cut out my fabric. You can see that I have allowance at the side. For the side front, I have 1 inch on the knee line and 1.5 on the waistline and hip line. Then the middle line where I'm going to join, I only add 1/2 inch allowance. And I've also gone ahead to cut out my lining. You can see my lining is not the same length as my Ankara. So if you can afford to make your lining the whole length, you can go ahead and do that. But this is the length I want to use. So this is my center back and side back. You can see the center back, there's no allowance there because I already include the allowance on the pattern, which is the zip allowance. I only added allowance where I'm going to be joining at the center. And for the side back, I have 1.5 inch on the waist and hip line. But on the knee line, I have 1 inch. That is because I don't want it to be bulky so that that part will not fold in and I can have the angle right. So I've placed all the pattern for the front here, and you can see that I make a cross sign. That's me chalking the wrong side so that I don't mix it up. So while joining, you make sure that you don't mix it up. That's why I'm arranging it like this. Make sure that you are joining where it's supposed to be at the center to the center, and where it's supposed to be at the side is on the side. So now I'm going to be clipping it together. Make sure that the right side is facing the right side because I'm going to be stitching on the wrong side. So I'm going to be placing the second side also making sure the right side is facing the right side, and I'll go ahead to pin it together. So after pinning it, I'm going to be stitching them together. So I already stitched it together and I've done the same thing to the lining. So I'm going to be placing the lining on the skirt here and I'll be pinning it down just to put it in place. And I'm going to be sewing the waistline. I'm going to be stitching the waistline by 1/2 inch. I already stitched it down here. So I'm going to flip it open like this and top stitch on it. So you can see I already top stitch. So now I'm going to be folding it to the wrong side and then pin it together so that I can put it in place and it won't shift. And I'll be sewing on both sides. I'm going to be stitching it by 1/2 inch. And when I'm done, I'm going to turn it to the right side and then put it aside to work on the rest part. So this is the center back. You can see the way I'm facing it, making it face each other. That's the zip part, the place that is going to be the center, where the zip is going to be. You can see how pointed it is. So you have to make sure that you locate this on your pattern before removing your fabric so that you don't mix it up. So now I have the side back here too. So this side back too can also be confusing. Make sure that you don't mix them up. Make sure that you note them before joining them together. So that's why I'm actually laying everything on the table here so that I don't mix it up. So I'm going to be joining the side back to the center back, making sure that it is where it's supposed to be joined, that is joined, and I'm not joining the part that is supposed to be the hip to the center. So I'm going to make sure that the right side is facing the right side, and I'm going to be stitching on the wrong side. So I'm going to be doing the second part also, stitching it together. So after stitching the fabric, I'm also going to do the same thing to the lining. So I already stitched it down. I'm going to be placing the lining on it now. This is one part of the back. So I'm going to stitch the waistline just like I did to the front. I will top stitch and stitch the side. So I already did that, and I've also gone ahead to iron my skirt. So I'm going to be top stitching on this like this by 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to do that to the second part and also to the front part. So now I have the two parts of the back together here. So I'm pinning it together so that I can join it and also fix my zip. So I'm going to be leaving 7 inches space for the zip. And then I'm going to mark 1 inch. I'm going to be joining it together by 1 inch. So I'm going to mark 1 inch all the way down so as to join it together. So I'm going to be rolling it all the way down. So here I kind of reverse the stitch, like I tighten the stitch there so that it does not loosen while I fix my zip. So you're just going to go ahead and fix your zip just like you fix your gown zip. So I've already done that. So now I'm going to be placing the front pattern on it, and I already pin it together just to put it in place. So now I'm going to be taking my measurements. I'm going to be shaping the skirt. So I'm going to be dividing my waist measurements into 2. So I'll mark it there. Then I'm going to mark what I have left. So I have 3.5 left there. I'm going to be dividing that into 2. So that means that I'm going to be taking 1 3/4 on both sides. And also my hip measurement, I'm going to divide it into 2. My hip measurement is 37. I'm going to mark it there. And what I have left, I'm going to measure it and then divide it into 2, and then I'm going to be marking it on each side. Then on the knee line, remember that when we were putting seam allowance, we added 1 inch seam allowance, and we've already sewn in about 1/2 an inch. So that means we have 1/2 an inch left. So I'm going to be taking 1/2 inch on both sides. So I'm going to be connecting this together with my curve rule and also with my ruler. So you notice that the front part is shorter than the back. So we are going to be fixing that by the time we are done shaping the skirt. So I'm going to be shaping the second side of the skirt too. So when I'm done, I'm going to be stitching it together like this. So I already stitched it together. So the next thing now is to shape the lower part. So you can see the way I leave the skirt up. I'm trying to put the part that is supposed to be the ape area now. I have it at the center. So I'm going to be pinning it together like this. So please do it like this whenever you want to shape the lower part. This is for me so that everything can align. I can have equal fabric on the front part and on the back side. So you can see the way I am arranging it. So it's the side that I have at the center now. This is because I want to trim this side. I want this side to align. You can see that the side of the back and the side of the front is not aligning. So I'm just going to use my free hand to shape it towards the back. So you can try to use your free hand, or you might use a curve rule, but for me I'm going to be using my free hand. So just watch the way I do it. So you can see I'm just chucking it all the way, and I'm going down gradually, like I make it align at the side, and then I keep going down towards the back side. So you can see that I didn't cut it equally or throughout, but I just keep going down, just like slide. I kind of go slanty. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cut with my scissors. So you can see how curvy it looks, and that's what will give you that your tail or fish look at the back. So I'm going to be folding the lower part all around now. I'm going to fold it once like this, and then fold it second time and stitch it all around. So this is our skirt. You can see how beautiful it looks. So what do you think of this skirt? So do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in my next video. Thank you.